This is Seymour Rocks reporting from Down Under. I just want to do this report because Margo did a video yesterday, and she came up with some very, very important information that I want to share with you, but I want to share some other things as well. So I'm just going to move on with some general things that I've taken and from Twitter and so forth, and then move on to the other stuff. So I'm just going to share the share. So this is okay. Let's just get this. Okay, so this is the forecasting. This is from Denmark or Norway, and this shows the weather forecast for the North Pole. That was Tuesday, the 14th of July. It got up to 2 degrees Celsius. I've noticed that there was some kind of breaking up of ice in the central Arctic region, and that seems to have closed up again. But I'll show you exactly what I see is happening. So let's just go on. So this is the Arctic sea ice extent for the latest data, and 2012 was the year to beat, and it looks as though we're beating it. We sort of went kind of even Steven with 2012 for a little while, and now we're moving back out again. And this is from Eric Holthouse on Twitter, saying 2020 is now likely to end as the warmest year in recorded human history. We are in a climate emergency. Some of us have been saying that for years. And then I picked this up. This is a picture from the fires in Siberia from today. It was clear sky, the northernmost currently active Arctic fire, seen at 71.3 degrees north, south of the East Siberian Sea. And that's taken from Copernicus. And this shows the Siberian Arctic, and Zach Labes is an absolutely brutal year for the Siberian Arctic. That's the sea ice on the left. That's the temperatures on the right. And this is from Climate Reanalyzer. This shows the maximum temperatures in the Arctic, and it's been like this kind of for weeks and weeks. So it shows it as confirmed by for the forecast of being above 0, and there are some absolutely amazing temperatures elsewhere in the world, Africa, United States, Europe, you name it, but I won't be going into that. Okay, and this shows the temperature of the sea around the Arctic, central Arctic basin, and it shows that's the ice. So that's the warm water that's eroding the ice from underneath while we have these peculiar weather conditions. And it seems to me that the jet stream is just kind of very, very weak, and weather conditions are just staying sort of plonked wherever they are. I mean, if you look at China, they've been having floods for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it doesn't seem to be going away. Okay, and these are the sea surface temperature anomalies. So you can just see huge anomalies in the Russian Arctic, and then there's this huge blob off the coast of the west coast of the United States. Meantime, we're having a different winter down under New Zealand with much cooler temperatures, and we even had a kind of a frost today, and I realized that that is because the whatever the meteorologists might say, it's because the hot blob and the Tasman Sea and the seas around New Zealand have gone at the moment. So we're just having reasonably equitable conditions, although it's warmer than what it has been in kind of on average in the years gone by. Okay, so I just want to look at concentration. This clearly shows just how much ice has disappeared. But the situation, I think, is even worse than that when we start looking at the sea ice thickness. So, and that's from another source. It practically confirms the other ones. And then there's this. This was interesting. I haven't got a colour chart, unfortunately, for this, but it just shows how the ice is disappearing, just from different sources. And I'm not even going to name them because this was sent to me and I don't know exactly where it's from. I think it's from a European source. And finally, we get to sea ice thickness. So that is, yeah, no, that was actually in, why am I showing this? This was in June. So that's how. Just have a look at, see how the. This is something that frightened me. This really gives a representation. This is the sea ice. This up the top, that's about half a metre thick. The blue is about 1 metre thick, and then this area is 1.5 to 2 metres thick. So this shows that from an Arctic that used to have ice that was 20 feet thick, it's gone down to this, and this is in 3 weeks going into a forecast period, and you can just see how the ice is just disappearing before our eyes. And not only are we reduced to this small area here of thicker ice, but you can see this area of red, and then you can see how gaps appear here as the ice recedes from the coastline. So I would interpret that as to say, well, it don't look too good. Is the methane emissions at surface level from Sunday the 12th going through to Thursday the 16th. So some of that is a forecast. You have to bear in mind that the green, the light green, is already at 2020 parts per billion, and the red that's coming off Severnaya Zemlya is somewhere higher than that. And then, of course, we're seeing there's huge amounts of methane coming off in Siberia, and also in Scandinavia as well. I think it's quite significant. Margo has been doing an excellent job over a year or so, maybe longer, at monitoring and recording the average methane readings at 500 parts millibars. So last week she measured an average of 1,882.75, and since then it's gone up 4.5 parts per billion to 186.7 parts per billion. But that's not the entire story. So here it is in a graphical form. This is the months from March 2019, and it reached a high in last year in October, because we're moving into the period now where the methane levels start to go up because of the warmth of the Arctic. And what's happening now is it's starting to go up again. But the whole point is that it's at a completely different level. So last year she measured the highest level of methane for the whole year was 1,885.75 parts per billion. So now at 1,886 parts per billion, we've already exceeded that level, and that was the highest. So just to give a sense, here we are at the highest last year, and the levels are just starting to go up again. So we're at the beginning of that process, and we've already exceeded the levels of methane that are being released. And now that's at 500 millibars, not at surface level. So I'm going to go on and just have a look at what CAMS is showing for methane at the surface level. Is from Margo.
I wanted to show, this is NASA Worldview. I'm going back 10 days. This is sea ice concentration, and the reds, it goes down backwards in the rainbow for how much it's melting. But you can see where it was melting back then. Let me take out these clouds. We'll go to the blue marble layer, turn that on. So let's go through this and you'll see what's happened since July the 2nd. And we can see the melting, high melt that day. That was on July the 4th. Here's the 5th, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and today. So we got another high melt day. Look, it's going up. That's what I said it was going to do. It was going to be melting from the coastline out here, which is what it's doing now. There's a hole forming here, just north of Canada. That's in the Beaufort Sea. Here's the North Pole. So let's turn the clouds back on. And we'll turn this concentration off.
Shows just where the cloud is. The green area shows that that the sky is clear, and the temperatures are about, oh yeah, well anyway, yeah, so we'll get rid of that. So that shows us that. Okay, so this is a general view of the Arctic. It's the North Pole here. So you can see just how much ice has melted. All of this is cloud here. This is completely melted. So let's just go in a wee way. So you can just sort of see around the edge of Siberia. This is eastern Siberia. That's Alaska here. It's all melted. This is all under cloud here. All around here. That's cloud. It's a little bit hard to tell. So let's just go in and have a look here. So I'm always interested in what's happening to the so this is what the ice looks like. So it's evidently that doesn't indicate very thick ice to me. I don't know whether those are melt pools, but the sign of some sort of fracturing here. So let's just go in, and then if we go all around in the Beaufort Sea, of course last year all of this Beaufort Sea was had melted by now, but you can see right around where you can see the ice breaking up, and especially here, this is where the thickest ice has been, and until I think last year the ice was pushed right up against the landmass, but now that's starting to sort of break away here. All of this is completely ice-free. Norway Zemlya is completely ice-free. There's a lot of cloud there. And the edge of the ice seems to be at around 80 degrees north. So next I want to have a look at the sea ice thickness, because this just scared the pants off me, I must admit, when I saw this. Okay.